Hey, it's Greg here with MaritimeGardening.com, and it's a crisp late December morning, and I'm just out collecting some seaweed with a buddy of mine, and I thought I'd just mention a couple tips for collecting seaweed if you're lucky enough to live close enough to the ocean to do that sort of thing. Number one is to find a place where you can go that isn't someone's backyard, where you're allowed to collect it, and also that you're not violating any local laws. My understanding of the rules here is you can collect the dead seaweed that's sort of up above the high tide mark, but you can't be ripping the live seaweed off the rocks. So that's what I do. You don't want the live, you want the dead stuff anyway. It's sort of half rotted and there's all kinds of other things in it, right? So you want that stuff there. Over here, this is live seaweed that's attached to the rocks, so you leave that alone. Up here, this is dead seaweed that's been pushed up on these rocks by the waves. And this line here is basically where the tide stops. You can just sort of tell by the color of the rocks. They get whiter as you go up. And the white rocks are basically the highest the tide gets, except for, amazing sort of exceptional days. So it's a seaweed along there. I mean, it's a bit of frost on it right now, but that's the stuff you want. One more little tip is there's a spot over here with all kinds of seaweed up on this sort of sandy beach here. And that looks like a great place to collect seaweed. And it is, except that it's really close to the side of the road where all this hay is. And one year I came and collected all this seaweed here, and I brought it back and put it all over my garden. And I had about 3 new weeds in my garden from doing that I've never gotten rid of. I got vetch, or Timothy, or whatever. I think it was vetch, lamb's quarters, and some other weed. I can't remember what it is, but it's all from basically the wind blowing the seeds off of that weedy patch onto this pile of seaweed for years and years and years, right? So I would avoid collecting seaweed right next to sort of the hay. Often there's some sort of grasses and weeds and stuff like that. This is really close to there's a road right there, right? I would avoid that. I would stick to being sort of out on the rocks, but above the high tide mark. Man, what a beautiful morning. Look at that. I don't live by the water, but this is about a 5-minute drive away from me. So there's a duck out, a couple ducks over there enjoying the view. Anyway, just a couple tips on collecting seaweed. Usual question I get is about salt. A wheelbarrow full of seaweed might have a tablespoon of salt in it at the most. There's no salt in seaweed. There's some salt water on seaweed. And if you collect it above the high tide mark, usually it's been rained on and stuff like that. And if you're putting it out in your garden this time of year, it's just sitting there all winter. It's going to get snowed on, and the spring is going to get rained on. All this, whatever tiny amount of salt that's in that seaweed is going to be carried away by that water, and it's really not going to accumulate in your soil in any appreciable way. So anyway, I hope you found that interesting. If you did, please like, share, subscribe. And until next time, get out there, get at it, have fun in your garden. Thanks for watching.